Welcome to a new week. You find me this week starting off down at what I call the compostery. Essentially, this is where we keep our 5 compost bins, where, as the name suggests, we make our own compost. I have reached the point where this one's full, so I'm emptying the one next to it because we work on a rotation like this. The lid with the tick means that's the one that scraps go in. The lids with crosses mean scraps don't go in those. One of them went mental and sort of exploded, so I'm actually also going to empty that one. That looks ready. So we have, you may notice, 3 with an A on, so does that one. That means this is making acidic compost. So that's for our rhododendrons, our azaleas, plants like that. And those 2 have an N for neutral, so therefore other plants on the garden, the flower beds, the trees, etc. The difference is these 3 get bracken put into them, which I snip up and put in because it doesn't break down readily. And it makes compost, which is, so I've been told, kind of along the lines of peat. And that is not. So I've cracked this one open. This is what it looks like. And I'm in the process of putting it in my barrow and taking it up to the house garden there, where I'm putting it around the appropriate plants. And the eagle-eyed of you might have noticed Will's car's back. So that problem with the clutch has been, I hope, fixed. We'll see how long it takes though before it needs another trip to the garage. Anyway, I'll crack on with this. By the way, if you make your own compost, have you ever noticed how eggshells just seem to last forever? I know people who sort of grind them down because of this very problem, but I mean, there's just not enough time in the world for that. This is a combination of things, admittedly. So a bit of the ash from the ash pan for the fire, some garden plants. As I say, some of this has got bracken in, but essentially most of this is food that for whatever reason Will and I haven't been able to consume, and so it's ended up on the compost bin. Isn't it lovely though? So look at it now. Decomposition is fascinating. We've moved on to phase 2 of Operation Fertilise Everything. You may be able to see that I've put the compost around some of the trees as a bit of a mulch. Phase 2 involves this, which is called Dynamic Lifter. It's basically an organic fertiliser, which I will sprinkle around the property using my little trowel. I do it twice a year, autumn and spring, as well as other sort of fertilising, composting things that I do other times of the year relating to the lawn, the flower beds, the trees, etc. And the reason I do that is because naturally, you may be able to see, the natural soil around here is very, very poor. So if I want to be able to grow nice plants that aren't necessarily native, and I want to have healthy plants, I have to help them along. That's what I'm doing today, partly because if it is going to rain, it's most likely to be today, and I do like to do these things when it rains just to help bed them in a bit. Aside from that, the rest of the week is sunny, 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 and that's no good for me. So fingers crossed for me that it rains at least a little bit, even just a bit of drizzle, just to get some of this nutrients down into the soil. Lastly for today, the job I've been sort of putting off doing until limited evidence of those horrible white butterflies is to get my autumn-winter crop going. So I've just said goodbye to all of my stalwarts this summer, a lot of different types of basils, etc., etc. which are starting to struggle with the climate, and I'm going to replace it with the things that I grow autumn, winter. As you may or may not know, I don't have a lot of space at the moment. Will and I have an idea of what we'd like to do. It's an excellent idea. But for the time being, we're growing stuff in pots. So we're a bit limited, but nevertheless, I do like to grow stuff. But whilst there are cabbage white butterflies about, they like to eat the stuff I grow. So now they've sort of waved goodbye, I can crack on and plant out seeds that I already have and think about seeds I need to buy to supplement what I already have. I keep my seeds in my gardening filing cabinet, as you can see, along with other bits and pieces. We salvage this from the tip, along with the cupboard we keep our petrol and flammable items in. Anyway, so this is the tin in which I keep my seeds, amongst other things. I will go through this now and see what I've got and get planting. I'm about to head out on my half marathon walk that I do once a month towards the beginning of the month where I can. I was a bit ill last week, so I'm running a week late, but I will take you with me, except for the fact that I do try to go for a time. So I'm always get a bit worried that pulling this out and speaking to you and showing you what I'm up to is going to hold me up. But what I thought I might do, now that I've sort of got my equipment a bit down pat, is when I get home, I'll just give you a quick overview of what I take with me and why, just in case any of you are interested in doing a bit of longer distance walking and wouldn't mind a few tips on things that might help. So I'll catch up with you when I get home in about 3 hours' time.
When we were at the beach last weekend, we found a cuttlefish on the beach. Well, a cuttlefish bone. And we took it home and hung it on the bird feeder. But the birds so far have not expressed any interest in the cuttlefish. Worth trying though. As well as birds, we also have a wallaby who is interested in the bird seed. I suppose it's still a good source of nutrients and energy for wallabies.
As promised, apparently Vita and I are going to be showing you a quick overview of some of the things that I have discovered are excellent for these long distance walks I go on. For context, once a month I do a half marathon walk, which is about 21 kilometres or 12 miles. So I have basic outfit here. I've got variations on these, but basically I like lycra because I find it less frictiony. Got a nice sturdy bra which is very comfortable and supportive, but not overly supportive. It's not too restrictive. I'm mostly walking up hills, so I do want to be able to expand my lungs. So yes, anyway, lots of variations on this theme: short sleeve, long sleeve, longer leggings, shorter leggings, different types of socks, different types of caps, ones that let the air in are good. I've got one that's just a visor. And then more specialist stuff. I always wear this high-vis vest. I just feel safer that way. They're twisty, windy country roads. I have discovered that gloves are very handy. I start very early in the morning when the roads are, I hope, less busy. And for most of the time of the year, even here, it can be quite chilly. What's good about these is they've got these grippy fingers, so I can still use my phone while I'm wearing them, because I input my times in my phone. Keep it basic that way. I have these trainers. They're by a company called Riker. There is another brand that I'm keen to explore, and I might do that at a later date, but for now I've gone with these. When you're doing like walking as fast as you can walking, you don't really want the big bounciness of a running trainer, because you don't want to spend all that time unnecessarily going up in the air. It's good for running but not for walking. So these are designed to help walk longer distances. They're not so bouncy. I have this sort of utility belt, which actually was a free gift with something I bought a very long time ago. A lot of this equipment, by the way, is relatively old, so you don't have to go out and buy loads of new stuff. This is a free gift. What I like about it is that it has these 2 little water bottles and a couple of pockets, one of which I put my phone in. When you're walking 21k or 12 miles, it is handy to stay hydrated. On an event we do like the Point to Pinnacle, water is provided, but on the walk like I do, it isn't, so that's a good idea. And then lastly, sustenance is a good idea. And there are lots of different ways you can go about it. You can get specialist gels, you can get sweets, just use jelly babies or jelly beans or something. I prefer to go down a fruity route, and I've settled on these dried apple slices. I take some out, put them in a little bag, put them in here and munch on them as I'm walking along, and it helps me to stay going. So yes, Rita and I hope you found that somewhat useful if you're interested in walking as fast as you can for quite a long distance. Rita. She really wants the apple. She'll eat anything. Look what you've done. Look what you've done. You find me in my trusty barrow heading towards the creek walk. I've got an hour or two spare this afternoon, so what I thought I'd do is start operation, get the creek walk paths a bit more tidy. So I'm starting at what's going to be the easier end, and I'll work my way through to the part where I need to reopen the path to the swimming pool. So just a quick recap. What I'm going to do is, to begin with, just using these little secateurs, I'm going to take out all the bits and pieces that are relatively small that are crowding the path, and then I might come back with a bigger set of tools, and eventually I'll come back with the brush cutter and maybe even for some of it the chainsaw, or certainly the reciprocating saw. But I thought I'd sort of do it in what I call tool stages. So rather than bringing all the equipment down to do it in a oneer, I'll just do it bit by bit, increment by increment, building up the tools as I go. I'm about to call it a day, but we're back where we started. I've wended my way along the whole network of creek walk footpaths, using my little snippers to clear away what I can. Dusk is approaching, so I'm collecting up all the things that I've chopped off, and then I'm going to knock off.
The Wonga Pigeon is back. We haven't seen the Wonga Pigeon for a while. We were just talking about that the other day. But here is the Wonga Pigeon, one of our favourite birds. A quick update on the Cuttle Fish. The birds don't seem in the slightest bit interested in it. I guess if it's a bird in a cage, they may be more interested, but these birds have lots of other things to sharpen their beaks on. I doubt that these birds, white-winged choughs, which I recently found out are known colloquially as happy families, for perhaps obvious reasons. They are very family-oriented birds. These birds are probably not interested in cuttlefish.